The Main Street Committee is focused on, and what we do is talk about initiatives to revitalize our main streets, and I put that in quotes, by taking local assets as well as making development and economy boosting investments. Main streets are the places where the community comes together. It's where we work, it's where we live, it's where we play, it's where we eat. And as one member of the committee this morning said, Main Street is more than a geographic. It's about any place where small businesses that affects community. And along those lines, our proposals or our recommendations for this year there are three, that the two of them are sort of philosophic, if you will, and the other is sort of a concrete idea. But along those lines, supporting Main Street businesses is something that we need to do through education and pulling some people together. It was mentioned earlier by one of the other committees that we have an issue of communication with our small businesses and having them understand what the resources are that are available in the state. And we know that promoting small businesses is, particularly on our main streets, has a significant value to our economic security as well as the vitality of our cities and towns. So our first recommendation goes to coordination and, if you will, communication among the various existing entities, chambers, coalitions, city planning and economic development folks, the multi-town collaborations that we currently have ongoing. There's no communication. It's totally inconsistent. And for the last years at this summit, this committee has requested and recommended that we have a sort of a central repository, if you will, that's going to provide leadership to our chambers and our main streets and for the development there. So there's already an initiative underway through Buy Local Rhode Island and the Commerce Department. And what we're looking to recommend here is that there be a dedicated staff resource at Commerce that can pull together our Main Street resources that are there, our chambers and other city planners, et cetera, to have at least at a minimum an annual communication where these folks can get together and share resources, share information, and start to prioritize for us as a community what's important for our main streets. The second recommendation has to do with how we encourage business, consumers, to come to our Main Street businesses. Again, this is not just main streets, but the geographic, and not just geographic, but any of those businesses that affects how we create community. How do we drive business there? How do we get the retailer there? And our recommendation on that is that we come up with, if you will, we called it Destination Small Business, but linking Small Business Saturday with a state tax holiday. The idea is to encourage more traffic to our small businesses and our Main Street businesses, because we know that once folks get to what that business is, once they get to Main Street, to that Main Street business, they're going to get the service, they're going to get the product, and it's about meeting people and creating that community, and we think that would be a way to link Small Business Saturday and tax holidays, and it would be beneficial. Last but not least is a more concrete sort of practical issue that faces, and that has to do with construction, mitigation, and the impact that construction has on our businesses, for whether it's interruption or actual road closures that impact our businesses. Again, it's a piece of this is communication, but the recommendation is that we actually have formalized the process that when there is a publicly funded construction project, that there has to be a mitigation plan and communication plan to our our businesses. There has been some movement in that regard over the last year, as I understand it, with DOT actually providing notice to our business owners, but it's not enough, and we need to make sure that our businesses are aware and that we have communication and that plans are put in place. We have some rather practical ideas, some of which there's no cost associated with them per se, but just sort of common sense ideas like scheduling and start and stops as it relates to the opening and closing of businesses, the busy time for a restaurant. If you're doing a utility project, you're digging up the road to have construction cease over the lunch hour to enable that business to still have its lunch crowd. And a number of other kinds of very practical, common sense suggestions to facilitate both the continued operation of business and the efficient operation of the construction project. And that's what we would like to recommend.